Halftime down at Lincoln Financial Field, the preseason week number 1. Eagles and the Jets have reached the half. NFL insider, Birds 365 co-host John McMullen joining us from down at Lincoln Financial. Oh my goodness, Johnny Mac, there's more to talk about with at the first half of this first preseason game than I think we expected. What an interesting and opening drive for Jalen. 6 of 6, 80 yards, a touchdown, shook off a bad hit when he was out of bounds, and the offense played pretty well on that opening drive.
Yeah, Nick Sirianni was pretty fired up about that hit, just screaming across the sideline at Jets coach Robert Saleh. But Jalen really played well, really recovered by NFL standards, was literally perfect. 158.3 passer rating, which is as high as you can go in this league. So it was obviously a short cameo as we projected in the pregame show, but in that cameo, you can only do as well as Jalen Hurts did. So it was nice. And by the way, he spread the football around. So we've been talking about throughout training camp. It was heavily targets to A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert. He moved it around. Miles Sanders cut a couple balls. Quez Watkins got involved. Jack Stoll got involved. So, and then it ended up with the Dallas Goedert 22-yard touchdown. So, very impressive performance.
Yeah, he did it in a lot of ways too. He scored first play of the game. He was forced out outside the pocket to complete that pass to Watkins. He ran the football for a touchdown that was negated, I think, on a Mailata holding call. So he did it a lot of ways in that opening drive. And John took a pretty damn good hard shot when he ran out of bounds.
Yeah, and it's ironic because there's a report out there from Dr. David Chow, who's very good with video, that Zach Wilson suffered a torn ACL. So that's kind of devastating news for the Jets if it turns out to be true, and he's usually correct on these types of things. Jalen Hurts took that late hit, but popped right up and was fine with it. And you mentioned the Jordan Mailata holding call. You know, that was the one thing. I think there were 4 penalties on the offensive line in the first half. So you had that Mailata penalty. You also had 3 false starts. So that's something the Eagles will certainly look to clean up.
The also, Johnny Mac, on that Dallas Goedert touchdown, it looked to me like that's a plus having A.J. Brown in the lineup. Looked like he was able to clear some space for Goedert to catch an easy pass and then get into the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be that type of player. We talk about presence. I talk about it a lot with Jordan Davis on the defensive side of the ball. You got your first look at him. You know, I always say Jordan Davis is probably not going to be a big stat guy, but he's going to have a presence that enables other people to make plays. A.J. Brown's going to do both, right? He's a playmaker on the offensive side of the football, but he's going to draw so much attention. He's going to make things easier for the other receivers, whether it's, as you saw, Dallas Goedert. Obviously, Devontae Smith is not playing today, but when Devontae gets back, Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor's gotten a lot of traffic in the first half. All these potential playmakers the Eagles have, A.J. Brown's going to make it easier for all of them.
Johnny Mac, I don't know if you pushed this tweet out on social media in a sarcastic tone, or if you actually thought that, hey, this team looked pretty good. I know it's the Jets and I know it's week 1, but you pushed a tweet out there about get your tickets for Glendale already. I got to tell you, man, it feels pretty good. It feels pretty good already, right?
Yeah, that was sarcastic. There is a term amongst Jet fans, and Jody McDonald can tell you this: SOJ, same old Jets. You know, I wouldn't get too excited about it. But look, the Eagles played as well as you could potentially play in that first cameo. as we mentioned, with the first team offense. And, it's gone the way we kind of thought it was going to way. Cam Jurgens played a lot in that first half because they need to get him ready. But they played well, but it is the first preseason game.
John, did you take notice to Jalen's willingness to dump the football off to Miles Sanders, or to push that football out instead of worrying about making the big throw or holding on to the football? Xander and I were talking about that in that opening drive.
Well, yes and no. They dumped it to Miles a couple times, so that's a positive. Also, from Miles' standpoint, because he hasn't caught the ball consistently, so the fact that he was able to do that, that's a positive. He did sort of still default to leaving the pocket to his right a little bit too quickly. But look, nobody's going to complain when you're 6 for 6 for 80 yards and a 158.3. So nobody's game planning. It gets tougher when people do game plan. They're going to make it more difficult for Jalen Hurts to default to where he's comfortable going outside. But look, he played great. There's no, it's one drive, but he played as well as possible in that one drive.
Let me ask you about Kaiser White. Big Sills has been talking about Kaiser as being going to be a real contributor on defense. Big Sills loves this guy. Your thoughts? He had, of course, that jumped the route, made a good pick that led to an Eagles touchdown.
Yeah, he's a great coverage linebacker. So I think the issues, you saw the good with Kaiser White. What we have to see is, can he hold up and run support? He was a safety in college, had a lot of tackles with the Chargers last year, but the Chargers defense wasn't very good last year. So that's what he does. He's an ex-defensive back turned into a linebacker. So he's definitely a better coverage linebacker than the Eagles are used to. We're going to have to see over a full game if he can hold up in the other aspects.
And one last thought from the defensive side of the football, Johnny, McKelvey Dean.
Yeah, I mean, McKelvey got a lot of playing time, was calling the defense, so that's a positive. They're putting stuff on his plate. He's learning 2 positions. He had, I think, 5 tackles in the first half. No splash plays, but, he's getting better and better. And there's time with McKelvey Dean. He doesn't have to be on the field because the Eagles have T.J. Edwards and Kaiser White and Davion Taylor. I think it's a process, and it was a positive first effort for him.
John, I'll leave you with this, your thought on this. Did the Eagles get a new strength coach? Because I've got to tell you, these guys all look jacked up to me. Jalen looks ripped up. Zach McPherson looks ripped up. I mean, ripped. They look ripped and bigger than I normally would remember.
Yeah, I mean, they brought in that last year with Ted Rath, who's kind of famous for being Sean McVay's get-back coach, if you remember that video of Sean McVay. So they brought him in last year. Maybe you're seeing some of the advances and some of the improvements this year. There's certain guys. Jalen gave up sugary drinks, as he said. So, he kind of remade his body. Marcus Epps is one of those guys who remade his body. T.J. Edwards, who works out with T.J. Watt all the time, is former Wisconsin guys. So, yeah, I don't know if it's just Ted Rath, but he's certainly a big part of it. But there's certain guys that have really dedicated themselves to that part of the game. And it's very important. It's very important to do the stuff off the field to go with what happens on the field.
All right, good stuff from John McMullen down at Lincoln Financial Field. Great stuff, Johnny Mac. We'll catch up to you sometime tonight when the locker room interviews are done. Great stuff. Great work, brother. Appreciate you checking in.
All right. Thanks, Russell.
All right. Good stuff from NFL insider John McMullen, who's down at Lincoln Financial Field. We held John a little bit longer than perhaps we were supposed to hold him, as the third quarter is quickly now already getting underway. 14-3 is your score as the third quarter gets underway. That's going to do it for our halftime report here on the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. We thank everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to, as Big Sill says, smash the like button, and we'll see you at the end of the game.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the oohs and the ahs. Go for the bubbles and the bubbly. Go for the story and the stories. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Action News at 11 with Rick Williams. It's the team you trust to bring it all together. The stories that impact your community, a sports roundup for the locals, and the AccuWeather forecast you depend on. Action News at 11 with Rick Williams.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass. Free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that. Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.